I am pumped for today's episode. I got my boys with me. The trio of positivity is glowing. I feel so good about this. My Positive Brigade members, welcome to the show. How are we feeling today, boys?
Yee!
I'm annoyed.
Per usual.
But I was still right. I hit the over, baby. No you-knows in the first 30 seconds. I got the over this time. Decided to go over. I felt like Boopin was going to pay more attention to what was happening.
Because it's literally the first thing on the agenda?
Wait, you put it in the agenda? That's cheating, bro. Is it
I thought you did.
I did. I put it myself.
God damn it. No, that's cheating. We got to change that. But I still put the over, so I'm a winner. Actually, just so that Boopin knows I'm not cheating, I'm going to start texting my responses of that to Miller. It's just going to go straight to him in the future.
Are you 4-0?
I'm 4-0. I'm either going to put a U or an O before the episode starts.
Yep. Cool. Social plug. You can find us on Facebook. We are at Trio of Positivity Podcast. The same name under YouTube.
Hold on, well. Boopin. Before we get to things,
God,
I'm sick and tired of bullshit. And I have to deal with bullshit all fucking week. For 48 hours, I had to deal with bullshit. And I am so goddamn sick of Chicago sports fan base. This weekend was awful. All over the city of Chicago, people were bitching. And the guy sitting next to me, to my right here, was bitching. And other people were bitching about our quarterback situation and situation in general. CJ's to my right, so I don't know what to tell you.
I can't tell where everyone's at.
You are here for me, but okay. Cool.
But all I know is I've been hearing the stupidest shit from Fire Eberflus. Is Poles the worst GM in the league? Are the Bears cursed? And I am sick and tired of the bullshit overreaction that this city produces. It's been 3 goddamn fucking son of a bitch weeks, and we are about to melt down over this pathetic reasons. And I'm tired of it. Caleb just went out on Sunday, and he made some mistakes. I will agree. Bad decisions were made, but that was far and away the only problem on that team on Sunday. We had coaching issues. We had offsides on punts, lack of discipline, lack of a running game, wide receivers blocking defensive ends, tight ends blocking defensive ends, everything in the fucking book. And all I had to listen to is how Fields is the greatest fucking thing since sliced bread because he's 3-0. Well, you know what? Go fucking be a Pittsburgh Steelers fan for all I give a shit. Go take a look at his fucking stats. He's thrown for 156, 117, and 240 fucking 5. You know what? If you want him to be your quarterback, so be it. I don't. I want the kid that just went through for the 11th most yards in Bears history, 363, 2 touchdowns, 3 games into his fucking Chicago Bears history. And I am so excited right now to fucking have Caleb Williams as my quarterback. And I am so sick of this overreaction of this team. And I do appreciate that Fields is the starter because you know what? That means we're going to get a 4th round pick. I have no hate on Fields. I don't. But I'm just sick and tired of having this comparison. Move on, move past him. And if you want to dwell on that, then go fucking be a Steelers fan. I had to get that off my chest because I'm so sick of dealing with fucking morons. It's like all I'm fucking dealing with.
Well, thank you for listening. That was our episode. We'll see you next week. I mean, that's it. That's our entire episode.
How mad do you think Miller's going to be that all of that was muted and no one heard a thing?
No, he saw me. Whoa. Wait.
That'd be hilarious.
So, just a peek behind the curtain, guys. He was hyped up the whole pre-show. He was giving us shit for things he usually doesn't give a shit for. It all makes sense now. Well, Miller, thank you for that. That was a good synopsis of what we're going to talk about today. I feel like I don't even have to talk the rest of the episode.
Did
I
you
can
even give what was happening today in the episode? I don't even think you got that far, did you?
No, I didn't even get the social
All right,
plug
no,
in.
I'll read it. I got it. You can find us at Facebook under Trio Positivity Podcast and at Twitter at Trio Positivity, YouTube Trio Positivity Podcast, which we are live. You can check out our website triopositivity.com for blog posts. No, and any other additional stuff. Boopin, what are we actually going to talk about today? Now that Miller,
I don't know. Miller took over. Miller, what should we talk about? It looks like you have a lot to say. Anything else you want to get off your chest?
We can talk about how right I always am. We can start there.
He is 3-0, guys, in the win-loss record. But in today's episode, we'll quickly touch on the week 2, give you trends, whatever we saw.
Week 3, way to change your fucking dialogue.
Good. I wanted to make sure you guys were paying attention. Week 3. Thank you, Miller. Good catch. We the loss at Indy. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the matchup coming up with Rams. Some fantasy stuff at the end as well. We'll talk about Chris's team. See if we can, make some changes there. Get him back to winning ways right there.
There's the first baby.
Damn it. Okay. Let's start off here, right? I mean, Miller, you take a break. We got the rest for a little bit. Chris, what's your reaction to week 3? What did you think? What worked? What did not work?
For the general NFL, it was interesting to see how good teams are losing games. I think games that we were expecting them to kind of be at least favorites to win some of these games, and then it's a little bit closer than people are expecting. I think the NFL has gotten a little bit harder, and it's not going to be as easy or as predictable as people expected. And I think week 3 kind of pushed that narrative a little bit.
Yeah, like it's been very interesting. I think favorites of like over 5 or 6 points, I think are like miserable.
5.5.
Yeah, like 5.5 and over. I don't know what the record is, but like they have not, like there's no survival. There's probably
I think they're like 7-0 or something.
You mean
5.5
right?
or 13-0 with the spread or something, and like 5 of them have won straight up or something like that.
Yeah, it's been crazy. More than that, Survivor, if you do pick them, like half of them are gone. Like
no, we're talking like 80%.
80%, yeah. Like
the top team each week is lost. At least the top team. Like the first week, like the top 2 lost. I think last week the top team lost, and then this week like the top 2 or 3 lost, because it was, I believe, the Bengals. They were top pick. The Raiders were another pick.
Buccaneers.
Wasn't the Buccaneers were another pick?
Cincinnati.
I said that.
I think there was an article on ESPN where they themselves were monitoring their eliminator league, and they're like 60 or 80% people have lost, and they listed the 2 teams. I forgot. I'll look it up for the next episode if anyone cares. But
Cincinnati is the worst.
I think Cincinnati was one of the worst
because they had like 30% week 1, and then I think they probably had probably 30% of the remaining this week.
That's nuts. But like, no, great point there, Chris. Like, I think like that goes to show like the teams are not that different, right? Any given Sunday, like 11 versus 11. It was like pretty interesting. What I thought you were gonna go here. I wanted to bring up that elite coaching, like good coaching, still matters in the NFL. Like it was so good to see coaches scheming to overcome injuries, right? Look at the Rams that beat the 49ers, who was also injury plagued, but that game gave me like confidence what a good coaching, like a capable coaching team can do. Similarly, like for like, coaches with their schemes and their creativity making forgotten quarterback, right? Like Sam Darnold, Malik Willis, even Justin Fields to a certain extent, like making him look better than average, right? Like these teams are winning. Packers are 2-1.
Justin Fields in that fucking sentence.
Like I don't know why you're hating. They're winning. They're doing something right.
His defense has given up 26 points in 3 games.
This is not an argument that Justin Fields is a good quarterback. I don't know if you heard
me. You just put him in a category that they're turning the season around because they're great quarterbacks. They're MVP quarterbacks.
My statement, and it's written on the agenda. If you want to double check, it says forgotten quarterbacks.
Oh, you changed that, huh?
Like that's what I said, and they
People
I'm saying
play
they
like
have
studs. They're not. He's not playing like a fucking stud. This last game, he played very well, by the way.
like okay, you just fucking okay, whatever. Like that's my point. Um, Miller, I'm gonna take your rant at the beginning as your reaction. Is that fair?
Yeah, the
Oh,
Chicago fan base are fucking a bunch of lunatics.
I agree with you 100%. I am part of that too. Sometimes, like I think last episode, I heard myself when you guys called me out rightly. So I was like expecting so much of this kid, right? Like he's just in his second, third game, right? Like we're gonna talk about some of the things we saw in this game, but I'm seeing progress and I'm happy to see that. Talking about that, let's talk about the loss this weekend that the Bears faced in Indy. An inspired Colts defense woke up to stop the run, allowing only 63 yards after getting run on for over 210 yards in both week 1 and week 2 without DeForest Buckner, one of their main players. They also forced 3 turnovers, sack our rookie quarterback Caleb 4 times. Jonathan Taylor reminded us why he is one of the best running backs in the league, rushing for 210 yards and 2 scores. I think each time he scored, more importantly, I think he lifted the team up by himself because of the score. It was like kind of like slugfeshy, and then he would score, and then the team looked like it better. So my question to you guys is like, did the Bears let a win slip away in Indy because the game looked pretty close. If it wasn't for the missed field goal and the missed 2 point conversion, the teams were essentially tied. I wanted to see if you guys thought we let a slip through their hands in Indy.
You want to go? Yeah, 100% we did. No doubt about it. I mean, Caleb made his mistakes. On top of that, Anthony Richardson looks pathetic.
Mm-hmm.
He looks so bad as a quarterback. They got lucky a lot of times based on our mistakes, whether it's the misguided passes from Caleb down to the flat, whether it's jumping off sides that led to a touchdown. I believe both of those led to points for the Colts. And it's just like there were multiple situations where there was just confusion with our coaching staff, lack of execution by our teams, stupid ass play calls, just across the board. It was just, there was a lot of mistakes on our end, and the Colts seemed like for a while they didn't want to take advantage of it. And then finally, towards the end, they really started to get that running game going and really just drove it down our throats on that way. But and I don't even want to talk about the refereeing, but maybe we'll talk about it in a little bit.
Chris,
Um,
anything before we move on to the stats part of this?
I don't think the Bears would have made a difference. I mean, the O-line didn't play particularly well. Did we let one slip? Maybe.
They played. I think
I
they
thought they
played better
played
than they did against Texans.
Yeah, but then again, it's like
The standard is pretty low. I get it.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, I mean, when I watched the game and I was trying to get the feel because everyone knows we have a group chat. Which shout out to John for sending us some amazing pictures of that while he was in the game. You can tell people's mindsets are a little bit different of expectations with this team. The expectation of Caleb Williams is where it's at. And I think everyone's comfortable with it. But people are juggling the idea of where they expected the Bears to be. So some people expected them to be higher. Some people are expecting them to be dog shit. The people that are expecting them to be dog shit are the ones that are praising Justin Fields or the Steelers and how they're playing. But this Colts team didn't really like pummel us, you know what I mean? Like they gave us openings, they gave us opportunities. The Bears are just not a team to take advantage of it. So when you say did we let one slip, I'm like 50-50 where like yes and no, because the play calling is still questionable. I think there's just a lot of questions on the team.
Yeah.
So I can't tell if it's like maybe if we had a better O-line, would we have won? I don't know. Like that's where it's kind of been like for me for the last couple weeks.
No, I think that's fair. It's pretty early in the season too, but I think this is week 4, right? There'll be trends starting to form, and hopefully we have better picture of what the team is. Talking about Caleb, he went 33 of 52 with 363 yards, two interceptions, and a fumble, and threw 2 touchdowns in there as well. Mixed day for him at best, like we talked about. He threw for his first NFL touchdowns, set the rookie passing record, but also allowed the game-changing strip sack that led to the last Taylor touchdown. Right, so mixed day for him at best, but obviously you can see progress. The
What?
off,
What set the rookie passing record?
yeah, I think he set the Bears rookie passing.
Oh, the Bears
passed-
rookie passing.
Yeah, he passed
Sorry.
my boy Mitch. You know,
Did you not see the screenshot, Miller? Jeez.
You didn't specify Bears. You
I
just
didn't.
said rookie passing record. I'm like, no, he didn't.
Yeah, that's my bad. So again, I don't know if you guys want to have anything to add there, but we have more stuff to talk about the game. I'll talk about a couple of people I think who are trending the right way. You guys can feel free to chime in. Actually, let's start with the falling first. I guess it goes together. We both have hated on DeAndre Swift, right? He has looked very inefficient. I called out that Herbert's going to score a touchdown. I called out the right steps, but maybe the wrong player. Roschon Johnson came in, looked very much faster. He rushed 8 times for 30 yards. He also had 4 catches for 32 yards. He looked spry. He looked fast. So a player whose stock is rising, I think he's one of them. You guys have anyone to throw out there?
Obviously, we have Rome, who had a really good game. That was positive to see. Caleb hit him on some nice throws. He went like 6 for 112 and a touchdown. I was excited to see him actually show his face. DJ Moore kind of disappeared a little bit, but Cole Kmet also made an appearance. 10 catches for 97 yards and a touchdown. So they carried the bulk of them.
I feel like we need to. Yeah, Chris should
I'm
say
not
that. Chris,
religious.
Yeah,
I'm
Chris
not
say that
religious,
again.
everyone knows, but holy shit. Thank the NFL gods. Someone finally heard us.
No,
Someone
I think
finally heard us.
I think Miller was right. If Keenan was there, I think that was the Keenan role. His role would have been hard to find, but with Keenan out, he stepped in, had a great game.
Okay.
The second touchdown was pretty
I
awesome.
disagree with that concept for the simple fact that every rookie quarterback that I can think of off the top of my head has had a decent tight end.
Fair.
Where if you needed your quarterback to be comfortable, you throw your little short dumps or you do something involving your tight end. We didn't really see that.
Chris, you are 100% right before you said the word tight end. Rookie quarterbacks need that comfort level, that guy that knows what the fuck they're doing all the time. And that's typically the tight end role, right? They just do their work. They put the work in. They do it right.
Yep.
That is exactly what Keenan Allen is. That was literally why he was brought in, to be that established leader of this offense on the wide receiver. Why he always gets open, always makes the right play. That's why I didn't think Cole Kmet was going to have this role. Now that he's out, this is 100% Kmet's role. And that's when you're seeing him take those steps. It's because Allen is hurt. And I just don't think the role is there for Kmet if Allen is there, because he's going to be that playmaker for him. It's great to see Kmet be that guy. We all know he can be it. I mean, look at what he did last year. He was lights out. He was on the way to being like a top 5 tight end in this league. No doubt about it. And it was just nice to see him.
Here's my argument though. And then this is a genuine question to you guys, because we've had multiple conversations about what the team outlook has to be. If Keenan Allen comes back, is Kmet just going to go downgrade himself? The amount of money we're paying the man, and we're going to be like, yeah, Keenan Allen's back. Kmet, you can go back to doing your 1 catch, 5 yards or whatever it is. And then we still lose.
I mean, I don't think it's going to be that, but he's not going to be getting 12 targets in a game. I can tell you that.
But can we agree that he should be at least getting 6 to 8 or something?
Like 5 to 8, yeah, something like that.
See, that's where I'm disagreeing with the concept of how
many fucking targets do you have to go around? You have to feed DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Roma Dunze. You have to the running back out of the backfield, and then you have Kmet. That's 5 fucking targets. How many targets do you think? I guess if we're throwing 52 fucking times in a game, maybe.
Thank you.
I mean, we shouldn't be doing that. We'll get into that later.
That's a criticism. That's a criticism.
That's what I'm trying to say.
I mean, maybe you can say 6 targets a game. I would think it would be more on the 4 to 6 range than anything more than that.
Yeah.
Because it's Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen is going to be that safety valve. Yeah. Hopefully he gets back. Maybe this year sometime.
He's not an IR, so that's a good sign. But
Doesn't
anyway,
mean shit with this fucked up organization.
another group of players that I thought the stock was rising overall was our defense. You know, we always they only allowed 15 first downs, guys. I don't even know how that's possible.
Well, because they got fucking demolished on their touchdown drives.
Yeah. Richardson
They had
went for 10 for 20 and 167 yards. That's all he did with 2 interceptions. He had a QBR of 17.8. That's what our defense did. Even though we gave up more than 20 points for the first time in 9 games, we only allowed 2 of their pass catchers to have more than 1 catch. So just wanted to shout out to the entire defense. You know, they're doing the dirty work, keeping us in games, and you know, offense will hopefully catch up.
No shout out to me. No shout out to me for my layout last week that basically dove in exactly what was going to happen on the field. No shout out.
I actually
turnover
had that
machine, long play machine. Like guess what? We didn't stop it.
I actually call that somewhere here. Sorry, 1 second,
Yeah.
Chris.
You do that. While you do that, I have a question for Miller because I've been waiting for this day. He doesn't know this, but I've been waiting for this day.
He's been waiting.
Miller, a couple episodes ago, maybe even last year, we had a discussion about a certain running back. Do you remember?
Yeah, who might have gotten paid?
Might have gotten
Saquon?
paid.
Oh, Jonathan Thomas?
What was his stat line for this game?
Jesus, 23 for 120 and 2 touchdowns.
110 yards, 2 touchdowns, 23 carries. Would you say the Colts made a good call now?
No.
Jesus.
I mean, he was the team, Miller. If it wasn't for him, they don't win.
What was Sermon's stat line? What was Sermon's yard per carry?
I don't think Sermon matters that he didn't get paid.
It does matter. Sermon had an 8 yard per carry average. Taylor had a 4.8.
How many total yards?
I mean, that's not the point. It's the opportunity. That's what we're talking about. I said you invest in the offensive line. The offensive line is what does it. Not necessarily the player. I'm just saying, so if you're going to come at me about is he worth the money, I would argue that Sermon could fill the role. Probably not as good as Taylor. No one's denying that he's a really good running back, but is he worth the money that they're spending?
I mean, yes,
I got the answer I wanted.
He won the game single-handedly. If you take Taylor out, we win the game. So I don't know what your point is.
You don't know that. If they have another good running back.
This was a year.
Like a Swift who you pay $7 million a year.
Our definition of good running backs are a little different there, bud.
All right. Yeah, we are just cherry picking stats to make us look better.
But Boopin and I are kind of in the same boat. I've waited a whole year for this to see.
I actually thought of asking because we talked about Jonathan Taylor like 10 episodes. I thought of it, but I did not bring it up. I was like, you know what? Let that guy be dead. Let that conversation be dead. But
literally just wanted to see what he was gonna say, and come to find out, this is where we're at. So yeah.
Running backs aren't worth a dime. Just look at your own hometown team. Wait, you might be a Pittsburgh fan at this point. Just look at the Chicago Bears, and you can see Swift ain't worth what we're fucking paying him.
Well, that's a great transition, Boopin. You want to take us into a Swift's play here?
Yeah, talking about stocks falling, people not doing well. Swift, who rushed 13 times, or 20 yards, 20 whole yards, guys. That's like 1.5 average. Miller was counting averages there. He also had 2 catches for 22 yards, but he seems the least effective running back in the room and was effectively benched at one point. I wanted to call out the coaching staff and Shane Waldron.
Before you switch over, just 2 things. I love that we started talking about Swift and there was already a baby crying in the background, so it's kind of perfect. I did want to ask, though, do you guys really think he got benched, or do you think that the Colts just kind of figured him out and they were like, we need someone new? Obviously, that's still benching, but, you want something new to kind of see what we have.
I think we're at the point with an organization where I don't know if he's going to be getting the full bulk of the work. Last year, he was inefficient, to say the least. He did fairly well stat wise, but the advanced metrics basically showed that he was inefficient. He was below the yards expected on his runs. I mean, he was running behind one of the best offensive lines in the league with the Eagles, and he wasn't reaching that expectation mark. So we obviously jumped the gun. We paid him a lot of money. I don't know if they look into that or how they made their decision, but coming to the Bears and playing with obviously a pretty shitty offensive line, you can see I thought he was going to be better than this, but he seems to be playing to the level of the offensive line. And then you have people like Herbert and more importantly, Roshan Johnson that seems to be playing with a little more of a chip on their shoulder, trying to make a name for themselves, fighting for yards, where it seems like Swift just fucking falls to the ground. I won't forget the fucking halftime. I believe his line was 8 carries for 6 yards, and I'm just like, you're such a stud. So I mean,
One thing I
it's
will, give
it's tough
credit
to
to the
always
staff.
keep placing all the blame on the offensive line. I mean, go ahead.
I mean, like it looked like they would like there wasn't many holes they opened up, but even when he did not follow the lead or go to the right hole too. So partly on him, partly on the O line. But one thing I would give them credit for, I think like this week Nate Davis was inactive. Like so, I am thinking they hold
He was
people
in the game,
accountable.
dude. He was not inactive.
I read he was inactive. Maybe I was
He was
wrong.
not inactive. He came in the game.
He came. Okay, maybe they
Yeah,
benched him.
because
That's what they were saying. But it's
Braxton
good. That,
Jones got hurt.
that's what it was. Maybe he
Um,
got benched. That's what they were
he
talking
got
about.
benched. Braxton Jones got hurt midway through the game, and then they got their new guard that took place for Nate Davis. They moved him over to left tackle, and Nate Davis came in the game. Braxton Jones came back, and Nate Davis hit the bench. But he was,
Okay, so that's what I was gonna say. Like, looks like they are people that are not putting in the effort. Looks like they're like holding them accountable. So hopefully that's what it is. And Miller's hopefully right. We don't. He's not our primary ball carrier moving forward. Wanted to also criticize the coaching staff, especially Shane Waldron. Right. Um, the opponent, I think we had an opportunity to run the ball. On paper, it looked like a really good matchup. The inability for us to get the run game going, even like average, not pathetic level, I feel like we need to call them out. There's people that scheme better. There's people that like you can hide your weaknesses a little bit and then get it going, even if it's like not dominant. And the fact that they did not, like the plan that did we plan to throw the ball 53 times with Caleb? If we did, that is dumb. Looking on paper, like this matchup was freaking running game. I thought Caleb was going to score a rushing touchdown. I told you guys, like that's how I thought this game was going to go. And to see him throw 53 times, it was just like dumb play. But
it's
what
just dumb. It's just dumb as an offensive coordinator to do that. You knew that Indianapolis was going to come out with that chip on their shoulder. They've gotten drilled 200 plus yards in back to back games. You knew we probably weren't going to have 200 yards, but they're out without DeForest Buckner on the defensive line. So they're obviously hurt there. You should be able to make some sort of impact. And to throw it 52 times in a game that's close, where you're not necessarily behind by a substantial margin, is just crazy to me. And
yeah.
I don't know if he's deciding to throw these screens, wide receiver screens, and that I know Chris loves. He loves them so much. I don't know if they're trying to do that rather than run up the middle or whatnot. But it's just like, come on. I mean, Roshan's out there throwing up three yards a carry, a respectable average. He's running with a chip. Like, we need to get him more involved and see if maybe he can light a spark on this running game. I know the offensive line is trash. I get it, but against one of the worst rushing defenses in the league, we shouldn't be getting stuffed like we did on Sunday.
I genuinely think the game plan was to run, and they saw the pressure, and they're like, "We're not gonna last." I think it was a. I think it was
Pressure.
there was even pressure on the run game, Miller. Like
I mean, we couldn't run the ball. That was the pressure. But like,
yeah, like I mean, this we didn't. How can I put this in a way? Obviously, you guys know I love screens. What was the ultimate when we were talking about screens when Mitch was here, when Fields was here? What was the purpose of a screen that we thought at that time? We thought it was a way to kind of alleviate some of the pressure to let them know, like, hey, we're gonna do some different things, whatnot, right?
To keep them from stacking the box.
Right, basically.
No blitzing. Yeah.
This defense just didn't give a shit. Like they just were like, all right, we're gonna force you to throw. Like we're gonna just make a game plan of just forcing it. And I think the coordinator saw that and they're like, listen, we're just not getting where we need to be. I'm making the change now. Now, whether the head coach had something to say with that, we can speculate. But you can kind of clearly tell.
I doubt it.
You can kind of clearly tell when we couldn't converge on that the fourth down, the game changed. So
Yeah. No, like I think it's fair. Like another thing I wanted to call out was just Steve. Like, we watch Hard Knocks and everyone was happy go lucky and team getting along and making faces at the cameras and whatnot. But I think there's like Miller brought up DJ Moore. Like they were like these are amateurs breaking down film on Reddit, so take it for what it's worth. But there were like plays where DJ was not even giving his 100% when he was not the primary on the ball on routes. He was just like not even running the full route. He was just giving up halfway. And like I would like to say the interior of the line. Sorry, one last point. Same thing. The lack of like effort, like we talked about last time, the interior of the line looked like turnstiles in some play. Even Tevin Jenkins, who was a mauler, right? He would like fight so hard for freaking Fields. Like he just looks lost in the offense sometimes. So like that's the lack of effort. Like this, hopefully, like winning solves everything, right? Once you start winning, maybe everyone will come back in the future. But just like a criticism of like the culture that looks so rich and fluid and Hard Knocks may not be up there, at least from the first couple of games, is something I noticed too.
First point, the problem is you're relying on people on Reddit. That's your first problem. You need to be on Twitter, obviously. That's where all those smart people live. Second point is it is weird to see Tevin not be Tevin himself. I don't know. I really think that they did something with the offensive line, so give them credit. They're trying something new. They brought in not more experienced, but an experienced guy and put him at guard and bench Nate Davis. It would be interesting to see if they eventually move Tevin back to the right side. He played there 2 years ago before they signed Nate Davis and moved him over to the left. It'll be interesting if they decide to do that in a few weeks if things don't get better. I don't know. I'm still kind of sitting here holding out hope that Ryan Bates proves to be something worth something since we traded for him and kind of can flip things around. The last person I just want to mention, because I know we talked about it last week, is Cairo Santos. And I don't want to sit here and hate the guy because he's been pretty much automatic. But we were sitting here. You fuckers are sitting here talking about in a few years we're going to have 75-yard field goals. I don't know how the fuck that's going to happen without robots. But this Cairo can't even fucking kick it 54 yards. Like,
okay, this week, freaking what's his face? Tucker missed a kick. Okay, so like
Audrey, I know I'm not focused on that. I mean, Tucker is on the downside of his career, but you look at Fairbairn, you look at Audrey from the Dallas, they're knocking in possibly 60 plus field goals, and he can't even get to the goalpost at 54. I give him credit. He's consistent. Inside 50, he's almost automatic. I love it. I don't get me wrong, but you're gonna start wondering. Like you talked last week on how 50-yarders are automatic in the NFL, and this guy came up short on like a 54-yarder.
I looked at his stats. He's like very consistently at 85% complete, like throughout his career. This year, like his career average, everything like about 85%. So like, which is pretty incredible to see. But it's a fair call out. Like he looked bad on that one kick, but it's one
He's
kick. Right?
Consistent. He's consistent at 50 in. He's really good. Back for 50, he does not have the range.
We'll give him some special juice. We'll give him the juice that Aubrey is working.
I'm not hating on it. I'm just hating on based on the conversation we had last week about speculation of 75-yard field goals on this podcast.
We may
Just
have
calling it
jinxed it. We may have jinxed it too.
No,
Fair-
because the
Fair-
guy from
Fairborn
Dallas
got me
65.
1 point this week. Okay,
The
we may
guy
have
from
jinxed
Dallas
it.
got 65. We're 10 yards away. We're there.
yards
We're almost there.
5 yards away. 75. Jesus.
like it.
Okay. Any other general notes from the game? We talked about it for a while. Otherwise, we
Yeah,
move on
no,
to the
that
next
we're
matchup.
let's move on because
No, fuck that.
Miller,
Dude, we didn't even dive into the fucking
episode. Miller,
the
go.
coaching issues we're talking about that we had.
About it.
The lack of correct play calling, the option play on the 4th of goal was a joke. You walk in, you are at you're at 1st and goal from the 4. You run a wildcat and an option. Like, what are you fucking doing? One,
Hold on,
you should
time out.
probably
No,
put
no,
the
no, no,
ball
no.
in
Hold on,
Fields'
hold on,
hand.
stop, stop.
One, what?
Hold on, and it's not Fields.
Yeah, you're right. I've been doing that a lot.
You have. We literally just talked about how on paper this was a running game. This should have been a running game.
I was about to say that too.
We just talked about it. And now you're like, well, did the Wildcat, we did an option, we did. Those are plays that happen all the time in the red zone in the NFL now. That's a consistent.
They don't.
Yes, they do. They happen more often than people think.
That is not factual.
I saw Ravens do it this weekend with Henry, I think. Like literally the same play.
When they're within
Literally
5 yards,
the same play. Yeah.
you're literally
They
doing
don't
this.
run the wildcat within
Yes,
5
they do.
yards.
It's not that surprising. Come
It's
on.
really not.
Are you
Anyway.
guys nuts?
Anyway,
What the fuck? Okay, fine.
my
You
whole-
guys supported Shane Waldron. Fine. Why are you talking shit about him then?
No,
Because
no,
that
no,
was
no,
the
no,
main
no, no,
takeaway.
no,
We
no,
can
no.
support him but criticize him, okay?
That
We can't do both.
4-play series right there was a joke. Bottom line is they should have either smashed it right up the middle with Roshan Johnson, not allowed him to get down. He ran, I believe, the first down. He went from the 4-yard to the 1-yard, and then they took him off the field because they wanted Khalil Herbert to run the fucking wildcat back there. And then they had Swift, who failed. And then 2 plays later, from 4th down, they ran a fucking option play. So if you guys think that's fine, okay, you guys must be fucking crazy.
Again, you're
I would love to
taking-
have scored, but again, like that was the least of our concerns. I think like they tried something, it failed, it looked miserable on paper. Move on. It's a over 50-yard field goal he missed. Move on. We'll make it
my
next time.
God.
If we're gonna nitpick,
Nitpick.
This
That
is
was one of the
nitpicking.
biggest series in the fucking game.
It was
What are you talking about? Nitpicking.
It was early. This is quarterbacking at this point. At the end of the day,
Oh my
it just
God.
you okay. You want to say you want to pound it down, or why did we make that switch or whatever? Would you have wanted him to throw it too? Because fucking Caleb threw for 52. You wanted him to throw 53 times or whatever.
I wanted the
number it was?
ball in Caleb's hands at least one time that group of downs.
I
Yes.
think that's fair. That's fair. 1 out of 4, I think is fair. I'll give you
Yes. I would have
Yeah,
I had no problem with them going for it on 4th down. Don't get me wrong.
Hey.
But running an option play, I don't like the use when you're that close to the goal line. I don't like the use of this running sideways. Sideways doesn't work at that point. You need to run north south. That's the goal, not running sideways. And that's what they did on option. It was fucking miserable.
I don't know what option hurt you, Miller, but it's okay. You see that play all the
We're not
time.
in fucking college anymore, man.
Like, hang on. That's
See it all the time? What are
Yeah,
you
like-
guys smoking?
running back run on the side, and the quarterback just like gives him an easy pitch and catch. Like you see that play
That's
literally every
not
weekend.
option.
You know
That's
what?
not an
Here's
option,
what
but
we'll
I'm
do.
saying north south doesn't
Hold on,
have
time
to.
out. Here's what we'll do. We'll ask our buddy Stathole Sports to let us know.
Guys are crazy. That's
Last
not an
season-
option
Hold
play,
on,
throwing
hold
the
on.
ball to a
Hold
running
on,
back.
let me finish. We'll ask that whole sports, our buddy. We'll ask him, hey, within what 5 yards? We'll ask within 5 yards how often is the wildcat
Wildcat
how
and
often
option.
an
Yeah.
option being used. We'll do that.
Okay. Well, we can
All
do
right,
that.
We'll bring it up for next week.
Yeah,
Perfect.
actually, that's actually a great idea.
He's not next week.
No, we'll ask him, and then we'll
Bring it back.
ask him. We'll ask him to do a video or something, and then, or he can tweet about it, and then we'll put his tweet on the show.
I do agree, Miller. So that's sack fumble where like the tight ends were blocking the defensive end. That was just bad play. Like
And
the
keep in mind the other play in that four. You're right. Sorry to cut you off, but to piggyback on that, in that rushing series as well, one of the fucking play calls they had Carson blocking a defensive end there, which again goes
Carter?
to Shane Waldron. Carter, is it Carter, the wide receiver? He was right on the line, and he was supposed to block a defensive end there, and that's where that play got blown up. Like the fact that you have these guys on the field is just moronic.
So
Like,
I think that's Allen, right? That's who's like he's replacing, and I think Allen does that blocking on those plays. I think that's what it was. I'm not defending him, and like I remember I was talking about effort on the
sounds
other.
like this was the best fucking series of the fucking game
No,
with
no, no,
you
no.
two.
No,
Jesus
like
Christ.
just like you, a lot of other people are pissed off too, and like Everett is like I talked about effort and like playing hard, right? Everett is another guy who's like supposedly benched. They elevated a guy from a practice squad to like likely bench Everett.
He signed somebody from the practice squad.
Sign someone from a practice squad because I think Everett is getting benched too because that was his blocked assignment. Komet was there too, but like supposedly he whiffed and he's done.
On your play, the strip sack. Yeah, I saw that. But that was more on Komet because the defensive end went outside. So the guy inside, which I'm assuming is Everett, based on what you just said, he didn't really have a chance to block.
Somehow it's on
because
Everett. I don't understand play. I don't agree. I don't
know, man. There was just the personnel decisions in some of these plays were just very questionable. I didn't like it. Yeah, I know we're dragging, but it's an important point. No, and we didn't even touch on the fact that we don't know when to go for one or when to go for fucking 2-point conversion. That was a fucking joke too, which led to us using a timeout, which then affected the end of the game because we didn't have another timeout to lose.
I'm more upset about that.
That's a fair.
And that's a very fair like when coaches are like, well, we need to learn from our mistakes and move forward. Like this needs to be highlighted in the coaches meeting of like, who's making that decision? When are we making it? When are we putting the personnel out on the field? That is huge point.
I mean, it's not a fucking even a decision that we need to make. If you watch the game yesterday, the fucking Joe Burrow launched a fucking touchdown pass, and as soon as he fucking got the touchdown pass, he's got his fingers up saying go for 2. Yes, and I get it. Caleb is a rookie. He may not be in that situation, but this isn't stuff that should be discussed.
Like again, going back to good coaching staff, guys. There's like actually people that are in charge of like calling timeouts and stuff like that because the coaches like they're looking at different things and like sometimes you may not. That there's actually people that are like doing this very specialized function all the way through. So very agree. We wasted our time out and I saw the calculation. It's like worth 5 plays and whatever. So I totally agree with you, Miller. That seems like a wasted opportunity.
The one thing though about coaching, and even though he's a rookie or not, all the coordinator had to say was, hey, if we score, we go for 2 or we go for 1. It's literally a 5-second thing. And Caleb, if he was new, the coordinator could have been out like run to the field and be like, hey.
Yeah, they do this and that. Coaches do this and that.
Yeah, I mean, it's very simple. If we're getting a touchdown, we're getting 2, going for 2. Easy.
That's why a lot of the coaches don't even celebrate. As soon as the touchdown goes, they're like looking at my notes. Like, it's...
Okay, give us this. Do the positivity score, and then we can get onto the Rams and Bears.
I'll recap the last scores ones while you guys think about what you want to give. Chris and Miller were lowly. Chris was at 2. Miller was at 2.5. Positivity score. I was the highest at 4. Let's see if I'm still the highest this week. Miller, what's your positivity score for this rookie team? That's learning.
I'm positive. I'm glowing positivity. I'm actually not going to do the score that I have on the sheet. I'm going to go 5. A solid 5. We're 3 games into the season, and we just saw Caleb Williams put up a stat line that we haven't seen in decades. So I am very excited about that.
Is it really decades? That's sad.
No, he's drunk. No.
Okay.
A rookie stat line. Sorry. I forgot a keyword.
Okay. I was like, that's so sad if that's the case.
A rookie stat line. If he would have done this in game 1 or 2, this city would have probably burnt down.
Yep.
But for some reason, he did it in 3, and everybody's in an uproar about it. I don't know the reason why. He made his rookie mistakes that we've talked about on this podcast that he's going to do. But I'm excited about that. So I think that is that's me raising the score. I've had concerns about the offense, but knowing that he can still do what he did on Sunday makes everything a lot better.
All right, Chris.
I'm still at a 2. I don't know. Just again, going back to my previous comment, Caleb Williams is performing where I think I expected him to be performing. There's not much I can say that hasn't already been said. It's just the team. This team is just. I wish I could do something for the podcast to kind of show that emotion or to say that. It's just leaving me speechless and not in a good way. Like, I honestly don't know what needs to change. Boopin, what about you?
I'm closer to Miller. I'm the highest again at 5.5.
Why did you go up though? This is what I want to know.
So like Miller said, the O-line did not the bar was very low, but we look better. Like there seems to be some personnel changes that I agree with that needed to happen. Caleb had threw 2 touchdowns. The defense has not the play has not gone anywhere lower. So I think all those factors combined, like it's like something to look forward to. I'm not saying
I knew we were gonna fucking be talking about this game for super long. How do you not go up? Like, you just had your rookie quarterback, who's basically the offense has looked anemic for the first. We've looked anemic for the first 2 games, and we come out and we actually look explosive, like we have a competent passing offense.
We were not explosive. This was not an explosive. See, this is what I'm saying. You look at his stat line and you immediately think explosion. If you watch the game, we did not look what that stat line presented at all. From a visual standpoint.
Like, what do you talk? What is your definition of explosive? I meant throwing the ball down the field. We had multiple plays of 20+ yards.
He's thinking like Miami Dolphins. I don't know. Is that what you're thinking?
Like, what are you looking for? 75-yard touchdown passes? Do you want a Sam Darnold to Justin Jefferson 98-yard touchdown pass?
I mean, that'd be great. Listen. If there was a 98 pass yard touchdown from like Caleb to.
But what are you looking for explosive? Like, for me, I'm looking for long plays down the field, like Rome on the sideline, Komet down the sideline. Like,
but see, you're looking at it from that aspect, and I'm looking at it from the team aspect. This team, as a offensive unit, is not explosive. They are not. This team, as we saw this, you know what? I'll even go a little bit further. The last 3 games, this team is not an offensive juggernaut. Like,
we're not talking about the last 3 games. We're talking about this game.
Hold on. If you look at this game and you compare it to the other 2, it looks the same. That's what I'm trying to say.
I disagree. I disagree. Like I don't know, juggernaut. I don't know if it's a juggernaut, but we look more competent with this game than we did the last 2.
We look like a competent passing offense. I'm not going to talk about the rushing because it's not there. But we look like a competent passing offense. We look like we can actually compete in this league with the upper echelon of players.
But that's the beauty of positivity, guys. We are going to bring Chris up, okay? I promise you he's going to come up, okay? Let's look at next up what Bears have on the docket, okay? The 1 and 2 Bears are visited by the 1 and 2 Rams. We are favored by 3. This change, it was around 1.5. F, which is interesting. Are Bears favored by 3?
Yes, they are. Okay, let's dive into it here. The Rams. Who are the Rams? Well, they're fucking injured as fuck. Their left side of their offensive line is all hurt. Their wide receivers, Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, are both hurt. They don't have wide receivers. They don't have an offensive line. But you know what they do have? They have fucking Kyren Williams. And this Kyren Williams motherfucker has carried this guy to 2 fantasy championships and completely torn up the league since he's come. I think he has 20 touchdowns in less than 17 games in the NFL so far. Yep. So he is tearing up the league. So basically, the offense comes down to Kyren Williams and stopping him. Yes, they have Matt Stafford. No one's denying that. But the wide receiver core is pathetic for the most part. Tutu Atwell's leading that, plus some other guys. But mainly, it's Kyren Williams. Moving on to the defense. They are 28th ranked against the run. They don't have a good run defense. What they do have is they have a new front and they have a rookie defensive end, Jared Verse. He came in. We saw what Latatu Atu. I fucked that up. I know I did
No,
against Caleb.
I think that's true.
On the defensive end, they caused a sack fumble. He cost basically the Bears the game against the Colts. Let's hope Jared Verse doesn't do the same thing. He's the main guy on the defense. Aaron Donald, obviously, he retired. So this defense is completely new. It's vulnerable, and we can get it done. Strengths, Kyron Williams. Moving on. Weaknesses.
Sean McVay. No, stop. Sean McVay. This was one of the teams I talked about.
I know, but I was trying to quicken.
I know. Took this injury-riddled fucking team and beat the 49ers, okay? We got to give a tip of the hat to that man. I know he's going to, I know that defense hasn't done much this season. He's going to come up with some creative looks. Even the wide receivers, that's a weakness. He'll come up with a creative way to do that. I think it'll be a good chess match between, his scheming versus, how we...
Chess match?
Yeah.
Chess match?
Yeah.
He's a fucking grandmaster, and we're playing checkers when we're supposed to be playing chess. I wouldn't be fucking talking about a fucking chess match.
But that's why he's a strength. I think that's their strength. That's where they come from.
Weakness, obviously, wide receivers, secondary for the most part, and blah, blah, blah. Key matchups to watch out for. How are the Bears going to stop Kyron Williams? Obviously, we talked about the fact that Jonathan Taylor had a really good game against us, some chunk plays on the ground. Can Kyron repeat that performance? We'll see. Hopefully we can make some impact. Hopefully Sweat can get in there and disrupt Stafford a little bit. Can Caleb put back-to-back performances on the field? This defense is definitely ripe for the taking. This is where we need to see this offense take the next step. We saw the first step in Indy. Let's see if we can clean some things up at home against the Rams. It'll be interesting to see how his second home game goes. We all know it can't get much worse than the first. And will our rushing attack exist? Are we going to be able to run the ball? Again, this is very similar to the Colts. This team can get run on. Will we be able to take advantage of some opportunities? Again, it's going to be the Kyron Williams show. It was against the 49ers. He had 3 touchdowns. Are we able to control him? If so, we have a fighting chance. If he runs away and gets me more wins in fantasy, then we're probably going to lose. But what do you guys think with the score? I'm going to go last because I don't want you guys copying my answers, as I am 3-0 on the season.
I'm intrigued by the line. I don't know how we became a bigger favorite after Rams beat the 49ers, but that seems to be the case. I'm pretty sure they were it started at 1.5 when I looked last. But anyway, I say the Bears pull off a win at home, 24-21.
0-3? Chris is 0-3?
No, I got 1 win.
1-2?
1-2. Calm down.
You got Tennessee.
I was just going off the board.
Chris, we had a 3-point favorite. Over under is 40.5.
I'm gonna take the over on this. There is a possibility of rain on Sunday. Not that much. It's 30-40%, which is, if you guys know, at by the lakefront, it can possibly go up. I think it's gonna be the game that Caleb does the same performance. Fingers crossed. I am gonna go 38-28 Bears.
Brother, if this happens, I will buy you steak dinner.
The only reason, and you guys are like, well, you were just shitting and it doesn't look like a... Listen, Miller dragged a couple points that changed my mind. If Caleb Williams can have the same exact game and we actually hit on our run game and we get some touchdowns, I think this is a good line.
I don't think the defense giving 28 points up to this team, but props to you, brother. So the reason this line changes is probably the Cooper Kupp news, obviously. But in my opinion, the Rams are going to be on a high. Typically, these situations, when you go in and you beat your rival on a game where you're supposed to lose, you're favored by you're not favored. the Niners were favored by, I think, 6.5 points,
Mhm.
and the Rams beat them straight up. They're going to be on that high. The Bears are desperate. I almost view it this almost opposite of last week where Indy was desperate. Now the Bears are desperate. They know their embarrassing performance that they handed Indy. They need this win. The Rams are feeling the juices. They're going to come in unprepared. The Bears are going to win. They're going to win decisively. We're not putting up 38 points, even though I would love if we did. But we're going to win 24-14. They're going to be able to stop this team. And they're going to get the defense is going to get right. The offense is going to be good. And we're going to get a decisive W on Sunday.
I just want you to know, Miller, you've changed your mind from the original.
Yeah. So did I.
You both did. So you both had them losing. I already had them
There's
winning.
no way that I had the Colts, them losing against the Colts and the Rams.
You had them losing and losing. Looking at the sheet right now.
So I had them going 1-3.
You had them going 1-3 to start the season.
Huh.
Boopin had them going 2-2.
2-2, yeah.
I had them 3-1.
Chris.
It does change things with the fact that when you lose Cooper Kupp and
Yeah,
I agree.
in your offensive
I agree.
line.
I agree.
I do want to say, like, again, we said this last week too, right? Our strengths and their weakness. Like, it looks like we should be able to O-line, the makeshift O-line they're doing should be able to like give him some extra time. The passing game has a chance to develop. It's a good get right game for the Bears, and I hope.
Keep in mind we're also at home, so we don't have to deal with crowd noise as well. So that should help with the offensive line.
And you know that crowd will be rocking if we had 50,000 fans in Indy this weekend.
I'm gonna wait on that. It might be rocking in the first quarter, but if they get off to a rough start, it's not gonna be rocking in the
This
second.
is the game. This is the game that if the Bears do not do anything productive, expect.
Don't say
the Boo Birds.
Don't say. Oh, you suck,
Dude. There was boo birds in the first game. At halftime, they were booing them.
What? Really?
Yes.
Oh, I can't with these fans. Maybe Miller's
The expectations on this team were sky fucking high. So when they came out, well, specifically the offense. So when they came out and did nothing, when it hit.
Well,
I may have to go on another rant here, but like, stop. Like the podcast I listened to, the national one, they made fun of us. They're like, "Oh, Bears are going to the Super Bowl like today because we look that bad." Like, who the fuck says like? Why would you say Super Bowl? Like, say you look better, say you do better, or like be 500.
We have people in our group chat that thought so highly of this team too. Like it's a normal thing.
Keep in mind, this isn't just a local thing. You had people from the national broadcasters that are talking about how they should make the playoffs, and
they build you up.
Expectations are high because they know how much talent's on this team. That's why the pressure is there. It's not just from the fans. It's from the talent aspect. You look at our secondary; it's one of the best in the league. You look at our Sweat is playing solid. Our linebacking core is very good. And then you look at our wide receivers, they're very good. The problem right now is the coaching decisions and our offensive line are what are holding us back. So if we can somehow fix that, is it easy? Absolutely not. But the talent is there in a lot of facets, which is why the Bears are getting the benefit of the doubt and propped up. But yeah, we need to move on.
One thing to point out too is Colin Cowherd actually did point out. I saw a short that he talked about the Bears, where he basically says, "Hey, I'm not worried about Caleb. I was a bit worried that the Bears did so much moves to get like this wide receiving core, and then all of a sudden we can't even do anything with the O line. So it's still a work in progress. We'll see what happens."
Nice. We're moving on to the fantasy corner. We'll start off with the fantasy nuggets. Couple of trends we saw that we want to bring to you. We'll talk about some injuries and more importantly, and later half touch on some actual fantasy news that would probably help you build your team better. Starting off, just some nuggets. We've been talking about it every week, guys. The tight end landscape is broken. That's the only word I could think of. It only gets worse with like Brock and Laporta injuries, which we'll talk about in a minute. Goddard, who had one good game last week. I mean, he had a great game, 170 yards and a touchdown, I think. He's the number one tight end already. That's all it took was one good game. He's the number one overall tight end. Likely is at number three. He hasn't done anything in the last two games. Bowers is at number two. Number three is Bowers, who had a couple of good games. He was doing well before he got hurt. And our very own Cole Kmet, guys, he's at number four tight end just because of one good game. So that's how broken the tight end landscape is. So if you're doing poorly with tight end, couple of catches, 30, 40 yards seems to be like a decent average tight end performance right now. Also wanted to point out, so most of the stats you saw, defense, average, everything is based on last year's numbers with some adjustments going into this year, right? As we approach week 4, we can now actually start looking at data from 2024, so we can see like the trends of this year and actually see what are good teams to play your wide receivers, your running backs, or tight ends against. Here's an early look for good teams to play your wide receiver against. The best team to play against your wide receivers would be Washington, Rams, and Eagles. If you're playing your running back, if they have a matchup against Cowboys, Raiders, and Dolphins, you are probably good to go. Against Titans, Chiefs, Panthers, and Ravens seem to do a poor job defending them. Against quarterbacks, it's Commanders, Rams, and Jags. These might shake up a little bit after week 4, but that's what the trends are so far. Miller, you want to touch on the injuries?
Let's go over the injuries real quick. Obviously, the big injury for the QB fast is Justin Herbert. He re-aggravated that high sprained ankle. They have a bye week 5, so I wouldn't expect him this week. He might have a chance in week 6. We'll see how that goes. Injuries on the running back, Pittsburgh running back room. Najee Harris and Jalen Warren both got hurt this week. It seems like Najee is going to be good to go, but we'll see how that goes. The Eagles wide receiver room is similar to the Rams that we just talked about. A.J. Brown is already injured, and it looks like Devontae Smith has a concussion. Adam Thielen, the number 2 in Carolina, has an injury, and they just moved him to IR. We'll see how that affects Andy Dalton going forward after his big fantasy week. In the tight end facet, we have Trey McBride. He has a concussion down in Arizona. That's a big hit. And Sam Laporta has a low ankle sprain. We don't know what's going to happen with him, but he does have a week 5 bye, and historically in these situations, they'll probably sit him for a week.
Awesome. Chris, I'm gonna throw it over to you. Any questions fantasy wise you have? Feel free to bring your own team into it too. What do you got for us fantasy wise, so we can talk about some fantasy before we end the show?
Gonna make this short and sweet for you boys. What is up with my quarterback?
Jalen Hurts.
Quarterback.
Nah, I knew you knew. Jalen Hurts, it almost looks like this was his 1 week where his numbers were not where I wanted them to be. Is it time to bring in Justin Fields?
Maybe. I was actually looking for him on the waiver wire, but Jalen Hurts is also my quarterback. Believe it or not, Saints have the number 1 defense right now overall. And most of his wide receivers are hurt. It's a tough thing for him. One knock, which is very annoying for Jalen Hurts, is he's got one of the highest interceptions, I think, or just fumbles or like just giveaways overall in the last couple of games. That's a trend that's like very negative for him for some reason. That's something very bad. There is a rumor that this is like non-fantasy related that Eagles, there's different factions in the Eagles team. The coach has a faction, Jalen Hurts has a faction. So there may be something going on there, but his play overall, I think you should be fine. I am riding with him. I'm not letting him go. I think he'll run more. That's how they won in week 2. I think that's what might be coming in coming weeks. One thing to look out for is Lane Johnson is also in the concussion protocol. That's one of his tackles.
I'm very concerned with Jalen Hurts, unlike Boopin. Going into the season, Lamar and Jalen Hurts, I was very worried because they got stout running backs in Saquon as well as Derrick Henry. And what we've seen out of Philadelphia is that Saquon Barkley is getting the touches and he's getting the goal line touches. And that is taking away key points that have carried Jalen Hurts in previous years. So he's no longer getting those touchdowns on the goal line. And now that you add into the fact that he lost his top 2 wide receivers, it may be time not to drop him, definitely not to drop him, but maybe look for another option because over these next few weeks, it could be sketchy territory for him. He may rush more to Boopin's point, but I don't know. I don't know what to do with him at this point.
Chris, 2 quick points. One, he has a week 5 bye, so make sure you pick up a backup right now for week 5, so you're not hunting the waiver next week. Second point, Tampa Bay is a good matchup for quarterbacks. They're 7th best, and if you look at the Arizona matchup, he scored 24 points, including a rushing touchdown. I am thinking that he'll be back to something similar this week, so you should be fine this week. Is my assumption. Again, I'm riding with him too.
All right, then that's really it. The only last question that I would really have for you guys, and then we can kind of close it out, is defenses. Are we seeing anything with defenses? They can see you in the live, Miller.
I'm aware. Defenses are kind of all over the place. One team to keep in mind that's kind of outdone what was expectations is the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, you look at the Ravens and they're very low. I have the Ravens on one team, skeptical. You look at Dallas, you don't know who they are. And some of these teams, you may have to give them a few weeks, even longer, to see if you want to drop them. But to be honest with you, the defensive rankings going into this year are completely shit.
Yep.
Like, it's just been fucking trash unless you have the New York Jets, because they seem like the only team in that top 5 ranking that has actually lived up to it. So I'm going to say something that I don't even hold myself to, but don't rely on the original defensive rankings. Just cut the cord. Get a defense that has proven. Get that team like Minnesota. Get them on your team. Look at the waiver wire. Look at matchups, more importantly, going forward, and try to rely on that more than just the talent. Because as of now, there's really no defense other than the Jets that has proven themselves as worthy of that top 5 grade.
Yeah, like Miller said, week 4 is crucial. Now the trends will be very visible. So both for tight end and defenses, I feel like you can start streaming them, because let's be honest, if you think defense is a crapshoot, tight end is a bigger crapshoot than that. So I think if you're streaming defenses, like, the trends will start to be clear starting this week, I think.
2 guys I just wanted to touch on really quick. Anthony Richardson. What are you doing with him, Boobin? He was drafted as a top 5 quarterback in many situations, and now he is looking sketch.
Yeah, like, it's so bizarre. Like, he and Jane Daniels were, like, very high touted because they're running quarterbacks. I feel like the upside with him is not capped. He can still give you that winning weeks, but I think you have to downgrade him. I don't think he's an every week starter. Like I said, there will be weeks when he absolutely is the number 1 quarterback on the week, but I don't think you can rely on him. Like you were talking about Jalen Hurts, maybe looking for backups. Anthony Richardson, if I have him on the team, I'm absolutely picking up somebody that I can start in a week in and week out basis when he has a tough matchup, because you saw this week he had a QBR of he had 10 passes completed, 160 yards, and unless he gives you a rushing touchdown or 2, that's not sustainable. So,
and I agree completely, and I think that is kind of what he's had the last few weeks, and I think his rushing has been down too.
Yeah. I think
he hasn't been having the rushing numbers.
I think he's trying to be careful after the injury last week.
He should, but when you're not backing up with the passing numbers, it definitely hurts.
Boys, I'm going to do something that we haven't done in a long time, but we're getting asked because you guys are the fantasy experts. We actually have a comment. Someone wants to know, would you guys trade McBride and Sutton for Stevenson Pittman? Jake Fergie is my backup tight end, from Jason on YouTube.
I don't know.
Would you trade McBride and Sutton for Stevenson and Pittman? I'm assuming you have McBride. I would not. I wouldn't touch that. I don't like Pittman at all, based on what we just talked about with Anthony Richardson. So no, I would not be trading for Pittman. Sutton is fine. Don't get me wrong there. But I think McBride will be a stud. I think concussion is a short-term issue. I think he is probably one of your more consistent tight ends.
Yeah.
You look at Kelsey, you look at Andrews. Who the fuck knows what's going on with those situations? So by you having McBride, I would keep that asset. I think he will be of value to you long term.
Yeah.
And we are going to try to do this a little bit, but we are trying to get more of interactions on our streams as well as our podcast. So thank you so much for submitting that. We hope that helps, and come on by again next week. Boopin, get us out of here, buddy.
All right. Thank you, people, for tuning to us. Hopefully,
Wait.
we have some positivity into.
What are you looking forward to this weekend? Come on now.
Oh, fuck. Damn. Thank you. What am I looking forward to this week? I think I hope it's a Bears win. I don't think I can take a loss anymore with like the fans we have in our group and in Chicago. A Bears win. What are you guys looking forward to this week?
I'm excited to actually watch this game, just because of what we've been talking about. Also, the group chat has been fantastic. The trolling that
It's
I've
been so fun. The trolling that I am
good.
I am getting so worked up in so many different facets of my life. And I know it's just fucking pieces of shit like Chris and Ben, but I love it so much. And I just hope Caleb Williams balls the fuck out.
330s, is that what I heard?
More, maybe. Who knows? We'll see.
All right, Chris. Good luck in your classes. Hope you're still keeping that A. That's it, people. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. Hope we brought some positivity into your life. If we did, give us a like and subscribe. We're a young podcast. Keep the feedback coming. We'll love and grow with you. Maybe someday in the near future, we'll bring some positivity into your life. But until then, we'll suffer in our misery together. This is Upen signing off for Miller and Chris. Good night.
Bye-bye.